Wel, prynhawn da pawb and croeso i'ch ginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Happy Cymru Cook Along. My name is Richard and heddiw today we're going to be celebrating Healthy Eating Week and we're going to be making two delicious items. The first one is a New Zealand sort of muffin, a Carbonara muffin, which is basically a sweet potato sort of muffin. And the second recipe that we're going to be doing is an Italian sort of pasta carbonara, both of which I promise you are absolutely cowin lush. Now then, as with all of the cook-alongs, now that I've got all of my computer bits sorted and we're live here on the Happy Cymru Facebook page, I just quickly need to go and wash my hands and then I will be back in the room. So this is your sort of 15-ish sort of second warning. Go and grab yourself a nice cool drink because it's quite hot and muggy out there this afternoon. Go and grab yourself a pen and paper if you want to make any notes, and I will be back in the room in a couple of moments. So bear with me and I will be back. So just while I am washing my hands, don't forget that we are live this afternoon. So if you do have any comments or questions about any of the recipes that we are doing, then please pop your comments into the comments page and I will try to answer them as quickly as possible. As with all of the comments on the page, I often miss them because I forget to put the comments bit on, but I have put it on specifically this afternoon. So I've just given my hands a little wash, a little bit of antibacterial gel on my hands, and then I am back in the room. So I'm going to leave my hands there just to sort of air dry. I've got a lovely fan over there because it's quite hot in this room this afternoon. So as with all of the cook-alongs, now that I've just quickly washed my hands, we are now ready to get cracking. So I'm going to start off with the official part and then it probably will, bearing in mind it's boiling hot in this room, go downhill quite quickly from there. So the official part for me this afternoon is prynhawn da and croeso. Welcome to the cook-along supported by the Happy Project. My name is Richard and as I've already mentioned today, we are celebrating Healthy Eating Week, which is a national week across schools and communities and is run by the British Nutrition Foundation, and they've got lots and lots of resources online to celebrate Healthy Eating Week. And as I mentioned right at the start, we're going to be making two different items. We're going to be making a healthier sort of dessert, and then we're going to be making a little Italian sort of pasta carbonara. And the great thing about both of these is the muffin is reduced sugar, it's also got extra fibre plus a vegetable that's going into it, so it will help towards our 5 a day. And the pasta carbonara, we're using mushrooms rather than the traditional sort of bacon or lardons to give that little bit of flavour, and there's no double cream in sight. We're going to be using some cream cheese and also some milk, both of which are reduced fat as well. So first thing that we're going to do, as I've already said, is we're going to make these little New Zealand Carbonara sort of muffins. So if I just click this button just here, I'm hoping, there we go, the recipe card is just coming up on the side for us over there. And you can see that I've sort of split the recipe into sort of three main ingredients, right? Or three main parts. We've got the sweet potato that we're going to prepare first of all. We've then got the dry ingredients that you'll need to weigh and measure, and then you've got the wet ingredients. And as you know, I then mix them all together once all of that is done. Now then, when it comes to your sweet potato, or your kumara as we would know it in New Zealand, right, is I've just peeled it, and the recipe card that we've already put on the Facebook page tells you to dice it and then to sort of cook it. Either cook it in a saucepan just for a couple of moments, just until it's nicely softened, or you can cook it off in the microwave. So you're quite welcome to do that, and that will give you a lovely smooth sort of mashed sort of sweet potato. I'm going to cheat this afternoon, and this way works equally as well, and I'm just going to grate my little sort of sweet potato. So all that we're going to do, use a large grater just like that, a box grater, and I'm just going to grate down. And whenever you're grating, right, just make sure that particularly if you've got young people making this recipe, don't go grate, because that's what they will want to do and they will cut their fingers, right? So all you're going to do is on a flat surface, you grate down, move away, grate down, move away, down, move away, down, move away, and that's just an easier way and a safer way of grating, right? And that means as they're moving it away, it means they can move their fingers up whatever they're doing. And by grating it like this, it's nice thin pieces, it cooks perfectly in the oven afterwards, right, within that cake, right? So we've got that just there, and I'm going to get rid of that bit, pop that into my little compost bin just under there. So I've got my little bit of sweet potato just there, and you can see it goes a long way. So you only need a small sort of sweet potato, or as I said, a kumara ang Gymraeg. Then we have got our dry ingredients, and to save time today, I've done all of my weighing and measuring. So in here, I've got 75 grams, as it says on there, 75 grams of white plain flour, or self-raising flour as I'm using this afternoon, and 50 grams of wholemeal self-raising flour. So we're starting to increase that fibre content, and I'm also going to add 3 dessert spoons of sort of porridge oats just into there as well. I'm going to take a little bit out because I wanted some for the top as well, but I tell you what, I'll get some from the cupboard in a couple of moments. So that's my dry ingredients. If you are using plain flour, as it says on the recipe card, you'll also to that just need to add 1 teaspoon of your baking powder. I'm using self-raising, so I'm not going to add any extra, because the self-raising has obviously got that incorporated. The last thing that we've got is we have got some mixed spice, and the mixed spice will give your sort of sweet potato muffins a really nice flavour. Now I'm quite good at measuring, so I know that 1 teaspoon, right, which is listed on there, is equivalent to about 5 shakes into my bowl, right? You don't want too little, but you don't want too much. So all of that is just going to go into there. And the final thing is I'm just going to grab myself a little spoon, and we're going to give it a little mix in one direction, just as so. Okay, then the final thing is I have got my sugar. Now, the great thing about making a muffin rather than a sort of sponge cake is that you can really reduce the amount of sugar. The sweet potato has got quite a lot of sweetness in it, so we can really reduce it down. And as you can see on there, we're just going to be using 50 grams of sugar. Now then, you could use normal caster sugar. However, I only had about 10 grams of caster sugar left, and I don't seem to have any in my cupboard just over there. So I've got some brown sugar. So I've got 10 grams of white caster, and then 50 grams of soft brown sugar just going in. And I'm just going to give that just a little mix like that. And the brown sugar is just going to give it a bit of a nuttier sort of flavour. So you could mix and match if you wanted to also. The next thing is I'm just going to add all of my sweet potato and just mix that round just as so, like that, and incorporate it all in. And I'm just going to make a well in the centre so I don't have to do that later. So that's all of my sort of dry ingredients. For my wet ingredients then, we've got 1 egg, and then we have got, as it's listed on there, 8 dessert spoons of milk and 4 dessert spoons of oil. Again, I've done this already just to save a little bit of time. So for my egg, the way that I like to crack it, just pop it in my hand, use the handle of your fork, just crack once, just as so. Your thumbs can go in, and then you can open it up just like that. I'll give my hands a little sort of wash. That can go into my big compost bin. I've got a little one under there, a big one behind me, and then we can give that just a little whisk, just as so, and we can pour that directly into there, just as so, like that. So we've got our wet ingredients and our dry ingredients ready. The final thing, right, is we pour that in, and as I've mentioned before when we're making sort of muffins, the best practice when you're making muffins is not to over mix it, right? Because if you over mix it, it becomes quite tough, right? That's me being tough like that, right? What you want to have that nice open sort of muffin type texture is just to mix it just until everything is combined. So I'm just going to pop that in just like that. And as I always like to say, never forget to give it a little mix in one direction, and here's the final joke, to make it BTS, right? Blasus, tasty and scrumptious, right? Apparently BTS, for those old people like me, right, is a pop group, a Korean pop group, right? So never forget to give it a little mix in one direction to make it BTS, and you're just going to mix that round. And as I said, all that we're looking for is for it just to be combined. We're not beating it like a cake, just combined just as so. And then I can get this into my little muffin molds as quickly as possible. You could also make it, this mixture will easily make two little sort of Victoria sponge sandwich sort of cakes as well, right? Which is what I have done with some of my sessions this week, because I've been making this with some schools this week as well. So let me just grab that from there. I'm going to take that off my wooden spoon and get rid of that just into there. The next thing is I'm just going to share these out, and when you're making your muffins, just make sure that you add a little bit on your spoon and then you scrape it off. And you don't want them more than about 3/4 full, right? Because if they're more than 3/4 full, everything will sort of come out of it. So just a little bit on your spoon and scrape it off. A little bit on your spoon and scrape it off. And what I always like to do, I like to go around once and then you can add more afterwards. So a little bit on your spoon and then scrape it off. I might have overfilled that one. We'll come back to that in a moment. A little bit on your spoon and scrape it off just like that. And I've got a little bit of mixture left. I'm going to add a little bit into that one, a little bit into that one, and fill those up just like that, right? The final thing, let me just get that just under there, is I need some more of my porridge oats. And let me just grab some of my porridge oats from in there. And literally all that we're going to do is, just to give a little bit of texture on the top, is I just like to pop some porridge oats on top like that, and then they add a little bit of crunch when they come out of the oven, right? And they are really, really tasty. Now then, let me just pop those bits just there. So those are our New Zealand sweet potato muffins, or kumara sort of muffins. They get baked in the oven at 190 or 180 rather degrees centigrade. That's gas mark 4. For approximately 20 to 25 minutes. Just quickly looking at my recipe card just there, and I promise you those are absolutely Blasus yawn. So let me pop those just into there. I'm quickly going to grab myself a little cloth and wash my hands, and then let me just wipe this over just there, and I can pull that one just there, send that back, bring this out, and as if by magic, here are some that I made sort of earlier, right? And you can see, right, that they're nicely well risen after they've been cooking for 20 to 25 minutes. They're nicely well risen. You can see all those little porridge oats have just gone really crunchy, so when you bite into them you have that lovely crunch of the porridge oats as well, and I promise you those are absolutely delicious. Now then, you could easily serve those just on their own, just like that. And the great thing about making muffins, particularly when they're individual, is you can freeze them down, and then you can just pull them out as and when you need them. Now I'm going to take them one stage further, and what I've already done is I've just taken the lids, or cut the lids off just like that, right? So you've got a little dimple, and we're going to make a little sort of healthy-ish sort of cream cheese and creme fraiche sort of topping to go on top, and I promise you it's really, really tasty. So in here we've got 1 dessert spoon, or tablespoon rather, of low-fat, reduced-fat cream cheese, and I've got 1 dessert spoon of creme fraiche. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of icing sugar. Not compulsory, but it will add a little bit of extra sweetness, and you have got a little bit of vanilla flavouring just there, right? And I'm just going to give that just a little mix until you make your cream cheesy sort of vanilla sort of cream just there. And as I said, this isn't compulsory, but it takes it from just a delicious sweet potato muffin to a muffin that's BTS, Blasus, tasty and scrumptious, right? And really, really delicious. So literally all that we're going to do, I'm going to grab myself another little spoon, is I'm just going to pop a spoonful of that into each of these. You could use different flavourings. You could use some orange flavourings if you wanted to. Works well in there. You could put some orange zest in. But I quite like a vanilla sort of cream. And obviously this is very similar to what you would use on a sort of a carrot cake as well. So we could pop those on, and then the final thing, you pop your lids back on just like that, and you can see that we have got these delicious little sweet potato sort of muffins. So I've got my muffin stand just there, so I'm just going to pop all of those on just like that. And oh dear, I can only fit 5 on, so that's the one that I'm going to be having earlier. But there you can see that you have got, I'll try and twist it round, you have got your sweet potato, or sorry, New Zealand Carbonara muffins, sweet potato muffins, and I promise you those are absolutely Blasus yum, or my new favourite term, BTS, right? Blasus, tasty and scrumptious, right? So we've got those just there. So those are our little muffins. So let me just wipe my table area over. Don't forget that if you do have any sort of questions this afternoon about either the muffins or the next recipe that we're going to be doing, please do pop your comments into the chat function, and we will answer your questions live here on the Facebook page. So the next recipe that we are going to be doing is our little pasta sort of carbonara, and as I mentioned right at the start, I'm not going to be using spaghetti, which is traditionally used in the carbonara. I'm just going to be using some penne pasta, and as I mentioned right at the start, I'm not keen on spaghetti, and I'm going to be having this for my tea in about 15 minutes, right? So if I'm going to be eating it, I won't eat spaghetti, but I will eat pasta like that, and the only reason for that is because it feels like worms in my mouth, right? So what we have got for our little pasta carbonara is, let me just change or remove, first of all, the Carbonara muffins recipe. So let me just remove that. There we go, it's gone. And I can move that one over, and I can click again. And yes, it's coming up. There we go. We've got our little pasta carbonara recipe just there. So as I've already mentioned, we need and this is a recipe enough for 2 people, right, this afternoon. You can easily double it up. We've got our 200 grams of cooked pasta. So basically that's 100 grams of a dry pasta, which obviously you cook off, and it doubles in size to make 200 grams, right? So you've got that just there, and literally all I've done, that's now cold. I cooked it off, plunged it into some cold water, and just let it cool off, and that prevents it from sticking as well, right? Then we have got our little sauce, right? And rather than using bacon this afternoon, as we have got on the recipe card, and what would be traditional, is I'm going to make a sort of veggie version. There's 2 reasons for that. Is because A, I don't eat a lot of bacon, and B, I forgot to buy it, right? So we're going to be using some mushrooms. We're going to really go down the veggie route which obviously helps towards our fibre a day and promotes healthy eating week as well. So we've got 3 little mushrooms that I've already chopped up. We've got some peas that we're going to add right at the end, and we've also got half an onion. So let me just heat up my little frying pan just there. I need another little teaspoon, and I'm going to be using some vegetable oil just here. So I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon, or half a teaspoon rather, of vegetable oil just into there. And I always like to use vegetable oil rather than butter, because obviously it's a polyunsaturated fat, and vegetable oil is the second press of the rapeseed grain. So I would save you sort of golden rapeseed oil for sort of special occasions and for dressings, but just use vegetable oil for bog standard cooking, because it's high in those better fats for us, right? Or you could equally use some spray oil. So I've just heated that up just there, because this pan will heat up quite quickly. And all that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab myself another wooden spoon, and all that I'm going to do is I've got half an onion that I have already chopped up nice and finely, and I'm going to turn that down once again, and then I'm going to add my mushrooms, and we're just browning those off just until they're nicely sort of browned, right? So I'm going to add those just into there, and whilst that's cooking off, I can talk a little bit about our sauce. Now traditionally the sauce for a carbonara is double cream and eggs, right? But obviously double cream is quite high in sort of fat, so we're going to make a healthier version this afternoon. And I've got, as you can see on there, I'm doing a portion for 2 people. Just going to turn that down a little bit. You have got 75 grams of low-fat cream cheese and 75 mils of milk just there, and we're going to be using half an egg. The other half an egg I'm going to scramble for some scrambled eggs tomorrow, right? So let me just give that just a little mix. I'm going to turn that down. So once again, I need a little sort of spoon. I'm going to add that, just my cream cheese just into there, and this recipe is easy to sort of double up. And this frying pan is very loud, and there's lots of smoke generating in this room, so I'm going to have to work a little bit quicker this afternoon. So we're going to add that just into there. I've then got my egg. As I already said, I'm just going to use half an egg this afternoon. So let me crack that just as so. I can open that up just like that, and I need a fork. I can never find a fork when I need one. Oh, there we go. So let me just whisk that up just as so. And as I said, I'm going to use half an egg, and I'm going to use the other half an egg with another egg tomorrow to make scrambled eggs on toast, right? So I'm just going to pop that half an egg just into there, and we're just going to, I'm going to use that eggy spoon, and we're just going to give that a really good mix through just like that, right? So give that a really good mix. The next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to add some cheese. Now, as I have mentioned many times, the recommended daily amount of cheese that we should be eating is 30 grams, which is equivalent basically to an ounce, right? And the message from Public Health and from the Health Eating Guidelines and the Eat Well Guide is that we should always choose a reduced fat cheese where possible, always choose a hard cheese because you can grate it, and always try and use a mature sort of flavoured cheese, because that means that you're going to get that cheesy flavour by using less of it, right? So I'm just going to pop that straight into there, and I'm going to grate 3/4 of my cheese into my little bit of sauce, and then we can put the final little bit of grating of cheese onto on top of our pasta afterwards. And I'm just going to give that just a little mix through just like that. To that then we've got some flavourings. I've got a teaspoon of garlic granules, or you could add a clove of garlic. I've got a teaspoon of mixed herbs, and or half a teaspoon of mixed herbs rather, and half a teaspoon of our parsley just going in just like that. So I can pop all of those just onto there. And I'm going to pop all of those behind me, and then I can show you really what to do, right? I can pull this over just like that. Now then, you can see that's been nicely browned off just there. Now to that, I'm going to add and warm through my little peas just there. Those were just defrosted peas. I bought them out about an hour ago, right? And they can have a lovely, and add a little bit of texture, but you can see it's already made it a lovely colour as well. Then to that, I'm going to add my pasta, and I might have made a big boo-boo this afternoon by choosing the smallest sort of frying pan. In actual fact, I've got a slightly deeper frying pan just here, so I'm going to swap that over. Otherwise, I know what will happen is everything will sort of fall all over the place, right? So let me just pop that just there, and you can see that we've got a little bit more room now to play with, right? You could do it straight in the saucepan, but I wanted to see what I was doing. Then to that, I'm just going to turn that on to a really, really low heat now. So once you have fried off your onions, your bacon, if you're using it, or your mushrooms, you need to reduce the heat, add your pasta, allow it all to heat through, and then with our sort of sauce, right, we're just going to add it just until to heat it through. And what will happen is that the egg will cook in the sauce, but if you cook it on a too high a heat, what will happen is your egg will start to scramble, right? So we don't want scrambled eggs, we just want a nice sort of smooth little sauce. So I'm just going to tip that on just as so, like that, and what will happen as you start to add it, it will start to thicken, right? But you don't want to put it on too high a heat, as I said, otherwise it will start to curdle. So that is now gently heating through. It doesn't need a huge amount of time, and it smells absolutely delicious. So we're just going to pop that through just like that. I'm going to leave it, stop stirring now for a couple of moments, and just while that is heating through, I can grab myself, go behind my recipe card and grab myself a little plate just there. I'm back in the room. I might turn up the temperature just a little bit, just until I'm literally, all that you're waiting for is for your sort of cheese to melt and the sauce to thicken slightly, and obviously it's the egg in there that's going to help to thicken your sort of sauce, and you can see that it's really starting to thicken now. And by using the sort of penne pasta, right, all of the lovely juices will go through the tubes of the pasta as well. And you could equally do it with spaghetti, but we've already had that conversation about me not spaghetti not being my favourite thing in my life, right? So that is very, very nearly done. The cheese is all melted. The egg is nicely cooked. We haven't cooked it on a high heat because we don't want those eggs to curdle. So the last thing that I do need, I need to grab myself my obligatory bit of parsley. I need my cheese just there. One more minute. I can see a little bit of steam coming off it now, and the sauce is starting to thicken really, really well. So we've got that cooked off. As I said, this is a half quantity, and you can see how much I've already made just in there, so it does go a long way, right? So let me pop a couple of spoonfuls into my little pasta bowl just there, and as I said, let me pop some peas on top just as so. I'm going to grab a little tea towel, and I'm going to get rid of those little sploshes just there, because I am very, very fussy. I'm going to pop a little bit more cheese on top, or you could put some Parmesan cheese on it if you wanted to. A little bit of cheese on top. Finish it off with a little bit of your parsley, which will bring out all the colours. I've got a fan there and it's running away, and you can see that we have got our quick and easy pasta carbonara, and I promise you this is absolutely BTS, Blasus, tasty and scrumptious. So I'm just going to pop that just over there. I've got a little spoon because I can't find it any forks. So this brings me to the end of today's session, which is celebrating Healthy Eating Week. We have got our little pasta carbonara just there. We've got our New Zealand kumara or sweet potato muffins, and all that leaves for me to say is diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much for watching this afternoon. Don't forget that all the recipe cards are available on the Facebook page, and I'll pop them into the chat function straight after today's session as well. They are also available on the Happy page on our website also. All that leaves me to say is diolch yn fawr, thank you very much, and I will see you next Thursday, where we're going to be making some more lovely dishes here on the Happy Cymru Facebook page. So diolch yn fawr, and I will see you very, very soon. Hwyl fawr.